rise one more time. Villains, laughter fills the air, shadows creeping everywhere. But we're ready, we won't break. Every heart beats at stake. Fight together side by side, through the storm and through the tide. Heroes rise, villains fall. Hear the battle, heroes call. Blazing trails with sparks of light, in the day and in the night. Courage flowing through our veins, breaking free from heavy chains. Hands united, power grows. In the unity it shows. Fear will crumble, walls will bend. This is where the road will end. Fight together side by side, through the storm and through the tide. Heroes rise, villains fall. Hear the battle, heroes call. Blazing trails with sparks of light, through the storm and through the tide. Heroes rise, villains fall. Hear the battle, heroes call. Heroes gather, rise and stand in the quiet of the land. Strength in numbers, hearts align, facing darkness one more time. Villains' laughter fills the air, shadows creeping everywhere. But we're ready, we won't break. Every heart beats at stake. Fight together, side by side, through the storm and through the tide. Heroes. strong as the dawn breaks free. With the hero song, destiny to see. Stand and rise, face the dark, light the skies, leave your mark. Eyes on the prize, heart beats hard, dreams to realize, played every card. The wind whispers brave, the stars guide the way, no soul left to save, time to make them pay. Eyes on the prize, heart beats hard, dreams to realize, playing every card. The wind whispers brave, the stars guide the way, no soul left to save, time to make them pay, time to make them pay. Stand and rise, face the dark, light the skies, leave your mark. The wind whispers brave, the stars guide the way, no soul left to save, time to make them pay. Leave your mark.
All right, so I have everybody here. Welcome. Let me drop this. End of the writing sprint. Wonderful. We did a little writing sprint. I made some great progress with Last Scarecrow. For those of you, let's drop that. For those of you here in the stream, I wanted to welcome Chris and Heather to the stage. I saw both of you guys hopped in during the sprint there, but I wanted to give you guys a little welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us, guys. I was hardcore into that writing sprint with Last Scarecrow. I think when I planned out this stream today, I was of the belief, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get through the whole climax with Last Scarecrow. And I think I maybe scratched the surface.
That's how it usually
Oh, man.
That's how it usually happens.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, I could do it in an hour. And then that was a half-hour sprint. I'm like, okay, even with a half hour, I was like, I think I'm about to introduce my antagonist. I'm like, all right, clearly I don't have enough time. But because I promised a climax, I did actually already write a portion of the climax. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it up and read a section of the Scarecrow and the demons fight for the audience. But I'm curious for you guys, what all were each of you working on? Oh, by the way, Heather, Chris, Ian, Sol, you guys they're introducing each other. All our group of writers. For those of you who are just joining in on the stream, we're going to be chatting about some writing fun conversations with Chris and Heather as well. So we've had some great conversations so far today, my friends. Let's see. Chris, Heather, do you guys want to just quickly a brief introduction? Just give yourself a little bit about yourselves to the audience who might not know who you are.
Go for it, Heather.
Thank you.
I go first a lot. I'm always too excited.
Okay. I'm Heather Masters. I actually spend most of my time doing really boring technical writing, but I run a creative writing group on Facebook, which started off with 5 of us in a village during lockdown and has suddenly grown to over 9,000 people with no advertising, no invitations, no nothing. So it's become a bit more of a passion. And I'm running a 33-day creative writing challenge at the moment, which is, what I'm doing.
Woo, and chatting a little bit about that with Heather when we hop into our AI conversation in just a little bit.
We lost Ian.
All right, Chris, I'm going to pass it over to you.
We lost Ian.
Ian. I know Ian's phone keeps going in and out. Well, we'll see if he's able to make it back.
Just wanted to make sure that you could hear me because I'm like, nobody commented. I'm Chris. I am a teen YA writer.
Yeah, just crickets.
I'm a teen YA writer, and I most of my stories that I write are all having an LGBTQ lead character. In my somewhat real life, I am a tarot reader for writer's block. So I actually help screenwriters and authors finish 3 to 8 projects in less than a year. That's me.
That sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Awesome. Clearly, I'm doing too much multitasking here. So, thank you guys. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's see with where we're at. So, right now with our schedule, what we're going to do is we're going to hop into a writing conversation of beating writer's block. Chris, before we hop into that, I'm going to just do a brief reading of the climax of my story of Last Scarecrow. So this was a really brief section for those of you in my audience who wanted to know more. So after the Pixie, Pebble, Gore, and Scarecrow make it through that last fight, Scarecrow ends up in a one-on-one face-off against the first demon. And this is just a brief clip or brief segment of the climax that is to come. All right. The last Scarecrow pulled himself back onto the ledge of the narrow platform. He looked back at the chasm full of lava below him, and the remains of his left straw leg being burnt to a crisp. Oh well, who needed to walk anyways? He gasped heavily for air, knowing with all certainty this encounter went on. The more likely they were all doomed. Cowardly Scarecrow, the first demon shrieked as he plunged straight at him with an outstretched hand on fire. The last Scarecrow could only manage to roll over as the demon's hand connected with the ground, leaving the all too familiar crystal formation in its wake. Please, just stop this madness if what you say is true. Sayings are like monkeys, the first demon cried out maniacally. The creature slammed his fist on the ground around him, throwing a temper tantrum of sorts. Crow, dead! The first demon's words caught him by surprise as the creature lunged at him once more. His fist connected with the Scarecrow's side, burning a hole through his jacket and burning pieces of his straw to bits. Those crazed red and black demonic eyes widened, looking down at him with what could only be described as madness. The burning in his side screamed at him, but try as he might, the Scarecrow was pinned to the ground. He let out a scream of pain, trying to huff his way through this demon's ability. Pixie dead, Grizzly dead, Snake dead, humanity dead, the first demon hollered, as if ticking off from a list, his red crystalline face mere inches from the Scarecrow. The last Scarecrow felt tears streaming down his face. After everything he had done, none of it amounted to the thought of how many he had lost. Each friend he had met along this journey was gone. The pain and inner turmoil burned far deeper than anything the first demon could do. The first demon raised his other fist into the air to wind up for a death blow, like he had witnessed at Gore's demise. The Scarecrow peered into those chaotic pupils, terrified by the horrors that his lone creatures had unleashed upon the world. Humans, animals, creatures. Death to Scarecrow! You're right. Death to Scarecrow! Grunting through the pain, the last Scarecrow freed his one remaining arm and grabbed the first demon by the forehead. I'll see you in hell, demon! The demon's eyes widened with a mix of delight, anger, and surprise. Remember! For the first time since unleashing the strange ability, the last Scarecrow called forth his magic. And we'll face the nothingness together! The first demon tilted his head back, laughing all the while, as beams of light shot forth from his eyes. The last Scarecrow dropped his head back to the floor and screamed. The world flashed bright white around them. Scarecrow relives his first memory of the first demon. The world of the chaotic magma palace greeted them. The last Scarecrow breathed heavily as the first demon now lay beside him, gasping for air. Was that tear streaming from the creature's face? Sticks and bones, dreams and tones. Your words, Crow, the last demon mumbled while banging on his head with both hands. That's not all, demon, the last Scarecrow spat as he pointed at the ceiling. Right on time, a flash of light extended from the heavens and encompassed both them completely, starting to turn them into ash. The last Scarecrow cried while the first demon laughed, their voices echoing and commingling around the emptiness of the palace. And that is the end of the excerpt. During the memory, it's learned that the first demon and the Scarecrow are connected because the Scarecrow is actually the one who unwittingly unleashed the magic upon the first demon in the very beginning of their lives. So the Scarecrow finally remembers that he has been wandering this earth. He's been wandering it for probably a couple millenniums. So it was a very interesting build-up. I wanted to make sure I shared something because I knew that was like a crazy moment for my characters. Oh man, thank you guys all for joining me in that little reading. I was like, I had a very high goals to try to get through that.
Before you're done, I want to know
was that,
what
Chris?
is this. So before you're done, I want to know what this last Scarecrow thing is. because you've been talking about it for a while now, and I'm like, can you give us a little pitch of what this, like, what is your 2-sentence structure of what, or like 2-sentence pitch of what this is?
Oh, that's an absolutely great question. So the Last Scarecrow, I always pull up when I do my writing sprints. Where'd it go? So I always have the little brief blurb of it. It's a post-apocalyptic fairy tale about a scarecrow come to life, who journeys across a land riddled with animals, creatures, and beasts that are fading away into nothingness at the hands of the first demon.
Sounds like the Wizard of Oz from the Scarecrow's point of view.
When I embarked on this journey, my friend, my challenge to myself was, can I create a more memorable scarecrow
Oh, there you go. Okay.
in a more modern storytelling perspective with darker elements, more fantastical nature than the original Wizard of Oz. So
Oh, wow.
whether or not I will have accomplished that, I guess we'll see.
You've already got demons in there.
Exactly. I thought, what better way to mix it up instead of doing a witch? I was like, we'll go a demon, like, because that's in a world where all the creatures are like animals predominantly, and most animals are forgetting. Most of the world has basically forgotten who they are. It's really the Scarecrow versus a demon is really the main antagonist. But thank you for asking. I really appreciate that. Awesome. So with that being said, where are we at on time? So 3:40. Okay, so I wanted to bring you guys up. So I know we've been chatting. I'm going to pull up our schedule. So we were going to start chatting about overcoming writer's block. And Chris, I know that was something I wanted to chat about you. Sol and Heather, you guys are so welcome to join in. Feel free to join in on the conversation. Absolutely. Today's stream has been super casual. I don't know if you guys have checked out earlier on in the stream, but we've had some really dynamic discussions about just different areas of writing. We've had a lot of great chats. We're about just under 4 hours in now, so doing pretty good. Sol's been here along with me for the journey.
Yep.
Awesome. So, Chris, as we think about overcoming writer's block, getting unstuck. So what is your method? What's your process? So I know your business, Flow Your Mojo, you do tarot readings and you do things to help writers get unstuck. Do for writers who don't have tarot cards available, or writers who don't feel trapped in their own like life or their own process, do you have any like strategies or recommendations for writers to like beat writer's block or get themselves unstuck?
Well, first I'm going to tell you that it's tarot, not tarot.
Oh, did I say tarot?
You said tarot.
Chris is like, full car. Like, Jared, you're kicked from the stream.
I tried to save
like,
you.
all right, guys. Well, it's been nice knowing you.
You know, with writers who just have who are in. I need you to ask the question again because I got distracted by tarot.
How do you overcome writer's block? What are some strategies you use to overcome it?
Oh, was that? But were you saying it without people without tarot cards or something, or was there?
Yeah. So for a lot of our audience who might not have tarot cards available, are there any like strategies that you recommend?
I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do if you don't have a writing prompt in front of you, and that could be take a break from it. That could be anything from watch a television show or movie that you like already, read a book, get some inspiration that way. I would say like get out of your head, because probably what you're doing is you're probably spinning your wheels about your story, and you probably just haven't been able to. You're just like rewriting and rewriting and rewriting, and you're just not letting something like grow on its own. So I would like take a break from it, go for a walk, do some yoga, watch a TV show, watch a movie, write something else. even like just choose like, and these are all things that you've all probably heard of before. It's just sometimes hearing them over and over and over is something that you probably need to hear versus just, and then also on top of that, you need to actually implement it. You can hear it multiple times and you probably don't trust it until you're like, you know what, let's just take a minute and do it. But there also comes a mindset with that as well. You can't, if you decide you're gonna go and watch a TV show for inspiration, don't compare your project to that TV show. Be in that moment, in that present moment with that show, with that book, with that breathing exercise, with that walk. Be in the moment with what that is, to give your story a break and let it breathe. So when you're hearing all these things and you're like, well, I did the breathing exercise. Did you breathe the exercise thinking about how you're feeling in your body? Did you do the breathing exercise how like in the present moment? Or were you breathing, okay, if I breathe this, then I'm going to get better at my story. If I breathe this, I'm going to become better at, are you still thinking about your project instead of just living in the present moment? Give it a break. That's a little bit.
I think maybe that's really hard for a lot of writers. Like I feel like it's probably hard because so people are like, I feel like most people are almost on autopilot, so they're not actually used to like, I'm here right now. Okay, I want to write my story. Oh, but I'm thinking about stress, bills, family, life.
That's what the world wants you to do. The world wants you. The world wants you to be a robot. The world wants you to be not be able to be like artistic.
Why do you think that is?
This is getting into a little bit of this is a little bit of a political situation, but it's more like it's more of a, without having someone to do the hard work, such as a crew worker, there is nobody to do the work for the rich. And if you are off doing your own thing, you are away from helping them create their wealth. So if you are in like off doing your own thing, you are able to be present in your moment, be present in your own life, whatever you need to do and all that stuff, instead of being bamboozled. That's not even a word, but whatever. Bombarded with all these different things, work, school, money. I have this bill. I have to pay this. I have to pay. Like that's them treating you like a robot, treating you like you are the person that you are meant to. We're not meant to live to work. We're meant to work to live. No, wait, I said that backwards.
Wait, hold on, wait.
We're meant to live to work, not work to live.
Yes,
That's what this life is about. We're meant to live. We're meant to discover. We're meant to learn about ourselves. We're not meant to just be here, work for 65 years and die. We're meant.
And I think the challenge a lot of us end up facing, and like me, like having worked in customer service for a good 10 to 15 years, like I understand what that struggle is like, right? Of like, I want to be creative. I have stories to tell. And I want to enjoy the process, but it's hard for me to get to this creative place. Especially if like I have bills to pay and I have like life's stresses, right? So then we end up getting trapped in this cycle of we're living based on our work schedule, based on routine, instead of finding ways to pull ourselves out and enjoy the creative process. And it's hard. It's difficult for everyone. It really is.
Me. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if it's difficult.
Yeah.
Raise your hand.
I'm like, guys, it took me quitting. Like, it took me like quitting my entire job to do it, and not everyone can do that. Like,
put a finger down.
It's hard.
For you. Yeah.
One finger down. All right, guys. Never have I ever.
Yep. So no, it's one of those things to where that's a whole different political thing that we can go down, but we're not going to go down that in this stream. But that's just kind of what I've learned from my own process, from discovering tarot cards and my writing. I'm actually personally kind of dealing with a little bit of that, and today I'm like, I think I'm discovering that I'm like, you know what, today just needs to be a quiet day.
Mhm.
Things,
And I think it goes to show that even with the best of intentions, like we will still all like deal with like getting distracted and deal
Yeah.
with some type of block or writer's block. But I
Mhm.
don't think success is, at least me personally, I don't think success is not dealing with these things. I think success is how we respond to it.
well, yeah.
Mhm.
But the thing that I also want to, I just got an email blast from someone that I'm following on TikTok, and it was like, and it makes total sense. I think a lot of us get blocked because we're thinking too far in the future.
Mhm.
We're like, what's the agent going to think of this sentence or this
Mhm.
project when you haven't even written a word yet? Like,
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
like, what's the world going to think of this project when you haven't even opened your computer? Like,
Mhm.
you are thinking way too far ahead. You haven't bought an editor. You haven't hired an editor. You haven't edited it yourself. You haven't got a cover. None of that. You need to enjoy, like, you're thinking way too far ahead. And if you're not enjoying the writing process, you're never going to enjoy the pay or the payoff, quote unquote, whatever, until, like, not even until, you just will not be able to enjoy the payoff unless you're actually physically enjoying killing your fingers.
If I might add something
Chris,
to that.
Oh yeah.
If I might add something to that, because it took me 19, 20 years to write my book. I started it when I was 12. So, I mean, yeah, I worked on it for like ever. I think it actually took basically a huge rift in my marriage to actually make myself sit down and write it. And before that, I mean, I started writing this before high school, and my high school experience was crap. So I didn't even know why I was writing it. And it's not like, there has to be a concrete reason, but even if the reason is just because you enjoy writing, that's still a reason. And I didn't even have that. I didn't even have that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It wasn't until my marriage started falling apart, I just finally sat myself down and I'm like, you've had this project for how long? You have spent how many years working on this? And I literally mentally beat myself up until I made myself sit down and write it. And my book just recently published. I'm about to graduate college. So, I mean, it worked with everything. But it wasn't until I found out that, no, I need to actually look at why I'm writing it. And that really helped.
It's interesting. It's almost like you had to be at that right moment to give yourself the tough love that you needed to hear. You needed to be at that right point to push yourself to get to that next stage.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
It just, yeah, it's hard. I've like, seriously, guys, I've chatted with, like, over the past 6 months, since I've started on this journey. I probably like now spoken with, in either, I would say, in a short conversation or a longer conversation or forming a relationship, I've probably now spoken with well over 500 different styles of writers, just from promoting, connecting over social media, maybe even 1,000, but that feels like a lot, but just from the past 6 months alone. And what I've learned is that a lot of writers end up being their own worst enemy. A lot of writers out there, and I see the same exact problems that are stopping writers time and time and time again, but they come so easily to me, right? But a lot of them are like, I'm afraid of how people will perceive my work. I'm afraid of how that I might suck. I'm afraid that sometimes it's a mental thing, sometimes it's a skill thing, and it changes from writer to writer.
Well, I'm going to take that a step further. So yes, we all kind of believe that, but there probably is something behind the note. That's a thing. I live in Los Angeles, so that's kind of that's usually a saying that we get. Like, usually a producer will tell you a note, but there's usually a note behind the note, and that's what you need to fix, kind of a thing. So regarding to what you were saying, with we all think we suck, we all think this, we all are scared of that. Someone put that in you, and that's probably your parents.
Yeah.
Now,
it always goes back to childhood, right? It all starts with childhood.
So, but that's also, but like, it's not to blame the parents and like to make them mad. It's just more of
Mhm.
And observation.
They were teaching you what they were taught.
Mhm.
It's
So
also
it's just a cycle. But you need to
Yeah.
understand that what they were saying to you, like go be a dentist, go be this, go be that, don't go be an artist, that's
Mhm.
their life experience putting it onto you.
the things that
So that's sorry, I keep interrupting Heather. Sorry.
the things that, just to add, that I didn't mention earlier, I'm also a personal development trainer in in a previous life, and one of the things that happens is between the ages of 1 and 4 is when we really form fundamental deep beliefs that we carry all the way through to adulthood. So even as a child, you can't really blame your parents, because it's your interpretation of what happened at that time rather than necessarily what was said or
Doesn't that go into like the whole like nurture versus nature, right? Of like, is how much of it is us as human beings and what we take from maybe past lives, for those who believe in past lives, or is it from what happens around us? And I don't know, that's a whole debate within itself. I'm fascinated.
Mm-hmm. No, and I do agree with Heather to an extent, and I think there's more to be discussed. It's just I think that my parents were just more of coming from the poor aspect thing, so they're like, you need to go be successful, because we weren't. And because of that, I have these expectations on me that are not mine to begin with. They were theirs. And so I'm still constantly struggling to relieve myself of their expectations of me, because this is my life, not their life.
That makes sense.
So it's
and I mean, no, yeah, it's a whole thing. And I think like at the end of the day, there's so many people out there that can, of course, place the blame on their parents, right? But if we're going to play the blame game, then it's like, well, okay, well, are you blaming grandma and grandpa? Because that's probably the ones who messed up their parents. Well, what about great grandma and grandpa? Because that's the thing is, you can keep going. At the end of the day, like, that doesn't matter. Raising a child is hard. Let's just start with that. Raising a child is hard. I've never done it. For those of you out there, I'm sure it's very difficult. But I think what I can take away, or what I can think through, is like, regardless of what happened, it's how we need to respond to it, and either how we work on ourselves, and then how do we take that experience. Fault doesn't matter. How we take that experience, and then how we shape ourselves, and most importantly as writers, how we use that in our characters and in our stories, right?
Yep.
And I think that's at the heart of it, because I agree with both your points. I think it's a balancing act, in all honesty.
Totally. Does that answer your first question?
It absolutely did. That was a really good tangent to be on. By the way, there were some really great comments here in the chat. Atomic was sharing, he thought what John Truby said about writer's block was interesting. He said that writer's block is often perceived as a psychological struggle, but usually it's a structural one. Just get it on the page doesn't work if you don't have the flexible grand design. Mary was saying, Susan Jeffers, feel the fear and do it anyway. I like that. That's a good quote. Marcelo is saying, my parents have been very supportive. Mom is genuinely my biggest fan, so my imposter syndrome definitely didn't come from them. I think it came from online discourse more than anything.
That's
right.
facts.
And we have some really great points there, right? I think when I think about writer's block and I think about what's holding us back, I always try to help writers understand is what's holding you back. Is it a psychological thing? Like, is it a fear of something? Is it something from within? To your point that you said earlier, Chris, like usually it goes deeper. Or is it something that's a result of a lack of skill? Because the great thing is, if you're afraid that your dialogue sucks, or you're afraid your characters don't feel real, you can fix that. We all have a best friend. It's called Google. And I think the great thing is we can learn a skill, right? Now I'm like, that's putting it very bluntly, but like we can, if it's a skill-based thing, there are resources out there. We live in the digital age. There are resources that you can join communities. Oh yeah. It's called Google.
Google's your best friend too? I thought he was my best
exactly.
friend.
How'd you know? Oh, no, Google's my best friend. Google is everybody's best friend, you know. That's exactly what Google wants you to think.
He's Tom from MySpace.
Oh wow, is he on Tom's friend list?
Tom was on everyone's
But
friend
yeah,
list on MySpace.
as I think through like writer's block, I think I always try to differentiate. By the way, welcome back to the stream, Ian. I know I've seen you hopping in and out. I was like, maybe. Oh, maybe you're back. Ian was with us a little earlier, and I keep seeing you hop in and out of the studio. Welcome back, my friend. Ian, can you hear us? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, I think his camera is cutting in and out. All right, well, I'll bring him back. But yeah, so with writer's block, I think the key to success is really understanding skill or motivation. Now with what you do, Chris, with writers and helping writers like overcome their problem when they're stuck, I was thinking it might actually be super cool. Do you want to pull like maybe do a tarot pull and maybe like see like for any writers who are feeling stuck right now in this moment? I know when you hopped on my podcast that was what, like a month or two ago, you did one for me live. And I'm like, what if maybe we do one for our audience, for anyone who's feeling stuck right now?
Yeah. But I want to first, before I do that, I want to ask you, because you said in my live that I did for 12 hours on Sunday, because I killed myself.
Yes.
You said that a card helped you. Can you, before I help someone else on the stream, would you want to can I get a little feedback on what helped you with that card, or what the card pulls even helped like 2 months ago or whatever?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Chris joined me on a previous episode of my podcast, Creative Right Now. Now aptly titled. I was like, all right, create right now, right on the screen. And essentially what Chris did was he did a tarot pull for me at the point in my story that I was at with Last Scarecrow. And I want to say at that point was about I think it was at the 75% mark when Scarecrow and friends were in the graveyard. And I was stuck trying to figure out specifically what I needed to. I knew where they needed to go, but I didn't know how I wanted them to traverse the graveyard and what type of obstacles to deal with. And that was around the time that we did that tarot reading, and you did the pull for me with my Scarecrow. And I think I think for me, it was the combination of the cards that you pulled, the images. So that pulling them, the images were inspiring for me. And then what you shared in addition to that kind of gave me further idea of like, don't make it too complicated, because it was an emotional part of my story. And I was like, I want to go big. I want to do all these things, but I'm like, okay, maybe right now that's not the right thing to do. And I took that mindset in with me in those future sprints that I did. And I simplified that part of the story. And then as I look back on that section, I'm like, that's actually way more powerful than what I was originally planning for it. And it just helped me get unstuck with that part of the story. Sure, I could have come up with random ideas and I could have tried to fight through it eventually. But I think what that did was that helped speed up that one moment in time where I was feeling stuck in the story. And that was super cool.
And to bring that back, what did I say earlier about writer's block? You have to be present in the present moment.
Hey, I love that. I love that. Woo! And it all comes back around. That deserves a round of applause.
Told you have to be in the present moment.
I love that, Chris. I hope that answered your question, because that was actually really, really helpful.
I don't even know what the cards were. It's just I can't hold on to everyone's cards. I would go insane.
So. Oh yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure you do so many pulls for people, especially because that's your business with Flow Your Mojo. But for mine, I don't remember the name of it, but it was a bunch of swords. It might have been the 10 of Swords, or I think it was one of the sword cards.
All right. Well, does anybody want me to pull a tarot card for them? What is someone like? Okay. Well, first, before I have that going on, I'd have to step off camera for just a second to get the correct one if I have to, because I have a couple of them right here. But I have vampires, I have pirates, I have witches, I have zombies, stuff. If anybody has...
I love that you have the different styles. We've actually started working on a community story earlier about a dwarf, Soul, where it's like
It was a
it's a
dwarf who
space
ends up having a
odyssey?
support character of a goblin, and they're it's like dwarf miners in space.
With a wizard. That's the vibe of the stream today. That's the community story that we've been developing when we started 4 hours ago. Do you have anything that's space or dwarf themed?
I mean,
This is not oddly specific at all.
I have one. Let me get one. I think I'm
all right. We're
Hold
ready.
on.
Let's see what we get.
So this deck is not necessarily spacey, not really dwarfy, but there's a sense of like video game in it to me. So does this this is one that just kind of comes to my mind.
Oh, that's kind of cool, actually.
Neat.
The first one that you pulled reminded me of the wizard that Ian came up with when we were doing our sprint.
That one?
Yeah, because he talked about a crystal. I think I'm seeing the orb, so that's kind of giving me that like magic-ish vibe.
Yeah, because it makes me feel like there's like a spirit world a little bit.
I kind of like that actually because
Yeah.
Chris was talking about a magic. It has this like sci-fi space backdrop. Oh, there's a royalty. Didn't you mention Soul? That kind of looks like Chris, pull that one card back up again. That card reminds me of the celestial dragons that you were referencing from One Piece.
Was it this one?
Yeah, that reminded me of the
Yes.
celestial dragons actually, because you mentioned that as being part of the royalty structure. That specific card. Mm-hmm.
It's the Hermit. I don't know.
Ooh, interesting.
Right.
Okay.
So I've never done a community story before. This is going to be interesting.
All right. Let's see what we end up with.
Where are you at with the community story? Like, what are you stuck on? What are we wanting to do next?
You know, that's a great question. Let me pull up what we have so far. Let's see. I'll pull it up on the screen. Oh, no, that's not pretty. Okay. There we go. So that is, I'll pull this out slightly so we can see more of it. So you can see this is the story. We don't have a name for it, so we still need a name. We have some overall themes. It's about becoming who you are meant to be, not who you've been told to be. Here are some of the themes. We don't have an antagonist yet. We don't have a clearly defined antagonist, so we need a. They're like kind of royalty.
That's what I'm doing. I'm giving you an antagonist. That's what I'm doing.
All right, perfect. All right.
I'm giving you an antagonist. Let me get the right spread out here, because I'm going to give you so much happening right now. It's going to be so much. Here we go. Okay. Some kind of antagonist. All right, so talk about and then I can somehow send you a picture of this if I need to, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see. It should probably be good if you just hold it up to the screen. That might be clear enough. Yeah, I mean, if you send me a picture over in the messenger, I can save it and pull it up on the screen as well. And I can just screen share if you want.
Well, let's see. Well, I'm going to speed through this a little bit, but
Okay.
we're going to see how this goes. But I'm giving you this is my antagonist spread, and I'm going to give you a backstory, some flaws, some redeeming qualities, all this kind of stuff with it. All right, so.
Perfect. And I think, Chris, the top of your camera is a little cut off right now.
Oh, that's right.
It looks like it's, yeah, there we go.
It's my little.
Like, here's the tarot card. We can't see it.
Actually,
Okay, perfect.
let me do this. You can go that way. There we go.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right. Do. All right. So I'm going to start with. Okay. Your goal. His goal for the story is probably Something to the effect, okay, so I've got the Four of Cups reversed.
Okay.
And the Four of Cups is
Ooh.
usually about boredom. But what the Four of Cups usually is also about is this guy is looking at these. He has these 3 cups here of what he already has. And this one cup is like an idea that he wants to have happen, or he's wishing for, making a wish for. So there's probably something that he's making a wish for based on whatever you've created thus far. And because this is cups, it's probably an emotional thing. He's probably, there's probably some kind of maybe, I can't even think of, I don't know the rest of the story. I think that's where I'm kind of running into a little bit of a problem with. But makes me feel like he's just making a wish or not telling someone a wish. Essentially,
As if he's keeping a secret.
Sure, you can go with that.
Yeah. Because I could actually totally see that for a royalty, for the royalty type character.
So
yeah, interesting. Okay.
His background. I feel okay. So I've got the moon. I've got the chariot. And I've got the lovers. He's had a very heavy background. And the reason why I'm saying that is because these are all 3 major arcana cards. And with the moon being reversed, it makes me feel kind of like what we were talking about earlier with it almost makes me feel like his past has told him to be somebody that he's not.
Mm-hmm.
The moon is reversed, so he's had to block his intuition, and he's now dedicated to other things that he's not feeling dedicated himself toward. And the chariot is just like he's pushing himself to go forward with it, kind of a thing. The background of the motivation is something to do with his mother.
I'm not surprised by that, actually. I think that would actually work well.
Something to do with his mother, loss of his motherly love, something like that.
You know what's interesting is one of our original ideas was a Prince Zuko type of character dynamic.
His self-view, he has the 6 of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, based on this, he thinks, but because based on his wish or his secret, he's thinking that he's thinking of leaving it all behind. He wants to leave it all behind. Whatever, like maybe he's royalty, like he's prince, like Jasmine wants to leave royalty behind. She hates being trapped in trapdoors. Maybe he wants to leave. He wants to leave something all behind. His public view is the 8 of Cups. Seems like he's not. Yeah, that makes sense. He seems like he's not very invested in his space of what he's trying to do. Seems kind of wishy-washy. Willing to leave to go find something better. And his close friends think that he's just a little bit too comfortable where he's at.
Okay.
So he's almost like not motivated, but like there seems to be some sort of secret that he's motivational based on this 4 of Cups. Seems to be there's something else that he's motivated to do.
Interesting. Okay.
Let me pull. We've got 2 flaws and 2 redeeming qualities. Flaws, he moves very slow. He's not a very fast thinker, fast doer, not a lot of passion. Could be blocked passion, maybe because of his status. His other flaw is he doesn't really have a lot of a big social network. He doesn't know how to have fun. He doesn't know how to have fun. A redeeming quality. Figure out how this is going to work, but usually the 2 of Pentacles is about balance, but with it being reversed, there's like a healing aspect of it. Blocked, delayed, healing, or internal. So probably internally, he's somehow made peace with what he's doing and able to somehow, based on his outskirts of what you've got going on, he's been able to find a way to internally balance himself out with it all, with what's going on. And then the last redeeming quality is he's got a lot of intuition. He does. The moon may be not doing very well with the, like, maybe reversed from his past, but he's pretty much figured out his intuition now.
Interesting. Okay.
Is this helping at all, or no?
Oh yeah, that absolutely helped. That's given me like a huge like story development idea for this character. So I think because our dwarf is all about passion and pursuing what he wants to do now because he doesn't want to be like his people, and this prince who feels very trapped, maybe very stuck, wants to go be adventurous and go live his best life. Feels like there's an opportunity for the dwarf to become the prince and the prince to become the dwarf through our magician sorcery of swords.
There we go.
I think we got a bit of a role reversal opportunity here for like, since the goblin, I mean, I think I started writing the goblin is somehow involved in the royalty world, but it kind of seems like that they have opposing motivations. So the dwarf wants to live this life of grandeur and the prince wants to escape and live another life. That was kind of the vibe that I was getting, and I felt like it rang with a lot of like the prince's motivations, and a lot of those motivations were completely opposing to the dwarves, which is great, which is exactly what you need an antagonist.
Saul, you said that you totally have an idea with the 3 major arcana. What was that?
It was the prince who was forced into a position that he did not want for some reason. Maybe he wasn't the firstborn. Maybe the older brother decided, hey, I don't want to do this. Or he had an older sister that was married off, into another kingdom, something, along those lines. And so the prince was the one that's like, hey, I really wanted to be like, I don't know, a scholar or something. And then suddenly his parents are forcing him into this position like, yeah, no, this is what you're going to do. It doesn't matter what you think. This is what the kingdom needs or something.
Along those lines, I actually kind of think that maybe there was, so like what you said with the second son, I just got chills. With the second,
yeah,
not being the firstborn. I wonder if your antagonist had this idea that he was never going to be prince, he was never going to be king, he was never going to do this, and it's all because of royalty or however it works. He's all of a sudden become royalty. He's had to make the decision to do certain things because that's the chariot making decisions, that he like being in charge. That is the lovers being dedicated, but obviously his heart is not completely into it. So also this is with him being, if this is his past, it's almost like he was accepting that he wasn't going to have to make any decisions. Maybe there is a sense that maybe he wanted to, but now it seems like based on him just kind of like wanting to leave and go somewhere else, it feels like he's now being forced like to stay behind and do the work that someone else was unable to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That absolutely. I think that gave us some really great inspiration, actually, some really great motivation for this character.
All right, we got
that was actually really helpful, Chris. Thank you for sharing that.
Hold on for just a second. We got 2 more things to give you. Internal conflict. He does not think he can do it. He does not think he has all of the things available to him, all of the talent, all of the tools available to him to do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
What is he hiding? It makes me, this was on this side, it was kind of like this, but it makes me think of a reversed. It makes me wonder if he wants to give something to like the poor.
That actually works with the storyline I was thinking.
He wants to give something to the poor, or like, because it feels like with royalty, they all want their money. They're not willing to give it up. So it seems like he's almost like a Robin Hood situation.
Interesting. Okay.
Why they're hiding it? Probably because they're dad.
Makes sense.
And then their view of your main character is, We got the double
Oh, no.
reversed.
Oh no.
Ooh.
It's the double reversed. So goody two shoes.
So a huge obstacle there.
So that
So
would
they're going
be
to resent each other.
that would be the character, your antagonist, if that helps at all.
Aw. Well, I think that provided a lot of inspiration for us. And for those of you who are here in the stream and who've been following along, like clearly, I feel like we have a much better defined antagonist character. It still continues to reaffirm that I feel like he's a Prince Zuko archetype from Last Airbender.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But I think that was absolutely incredible. I want to move along to our next conversation, Chris. But before we do, I just want to thank you for doing that tarot spread. That was really cool. That was a spread, right? That's what it was called.
Yeah.
And I know you're also running a promotion right now. What's the promo that you're running?
I have so Pride Month just happened for June.
Mm-hmm.
But I have until July 15th, I've got a promo going on my website, and it's 30% off of a tarot reading. So if you're interested in a tarot reading, you can get 30% off for the rest of until July 15th.
Nice.
There we go. And I pulled up that little the little thing that you had.
There you go.
Beautiful, really colorful. Woo! Absolutely celebrate Pride. So for those of you who want to go check it out, like Chris's tarot spreads, as you just saw, like that created a lot of inspiration. That created a lot of great ideas for that character. If you're feeling stuck like with writer's block or you're feeling trapped, like this is it. Chris has absolutely some great tools to help you feel unstuck. And all you have to do is show up. So absolutely a great strategy. If you want to know more about Chris and more about this promo, his stuff is linked down in the YouTube video description. So definitely go check it out. I would highly recommend it. It absolutely helped with my story, Last Scarecrow, as I mentioned earlier.
What are the comments saying, out of curiosity?
Let's see. What were we? Looked like somebody popped in asking us if we all stream together.
I mean, we should.
I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, yeah, I know, right? We're like, all right, guys, you're all joining me on the daily writing sprint live streams. Here we go. I only have 180 more days to go. You guys are up for that, right? It's no one copy me. I'm crazy. I know I am. But yeah, so I think people were probably interested in the idea, but we just haven't had too many people commenting on it right now.
No worries.
My guess is we'll probably get more comments when we hop back into the exercise of this, or to the live exercise. But this actually, hold on just a second. So what I'm going to do, we actually just have our next guest here at the stage, and this is actually going to be perfect because Heather, I wanted to chat about AI. Chris, you're welcome to keep joining us. We're going to chat about AI and then publishing, which are two huge topics for writers. And I want to welcome right now Holly to the stage. Welcome, Holly.
Hello.
Did you say Papa Shake? What'd you say?
What did I say?
AI and what?
Publishing.
AI and publishing.
And
publishing.
Like Papa Shake. What is Papa Shake?
Yeah, like Papa Shake. Come on, writers. You don't know Papa Shake? Holly, we're a little behind. We're just hopping into our previous conversation. But I thought this would be perfect because we probably all have viewpoints on AI.
Yeah.
And I wanted to when I was discussing with Heather, we're like coming up with some ideas, and Heather's like, what about AI and creative writers? And I'm like, yes, I'm all down. I'm all for it. So I think this would be a great opportunity. And Heather, I'll let you lead this as we talk about AI and creative writers.
Okay.
All right. So I guess maybe we should start off of, are we all pro AI? Like there seems to be the two sides of this debate. You're either pro or against. You think AI is going to take over the world with the Terminator.
Use your please and thank yous in ChatGPT.
Hey, I thank all of my ChatGPT requests for when they take over the world, so that way they remembered that I was kind.
Okay, the reason it came up, because I'm doing this 30-day challenge, I actually put a poll in the creative writing group to see what they wanted to choose, and I put an AI in there, and it went mental. So I thought it might be creative writers don't need AI. And where do I sit? I've been in tech all my life, and that's a long time. I won't tell you how old I am, but it's been quite a long time. And I've seen new things happen all the time, and it's the same with everything. It's the same with like tarot. It can be used for good or bad. You know, everything can be used for good or bad. It's how you use it. The kind of issue I have at the moment with the version of AI is that OpenAI isn't open, and it's controlled, and it's already kind of one-sided. So it depends on what you use it for. So as a creative writer, if you're using it for prompts, if you're using it to schedule your writing, if you're using it to help you control what you're doing, and for grammar checks, and that's probably okay, especially if you can train it yourself into your own style. But the main points for me that to be aware of is that it's gathering your copyright, it's gathering your data, you're teaching it, it's going into the big soup of AI. So yeah, it's just to be aware. I think it's the awareness of how it's being used, and also each type. So for instance, Gemini, Google's AI, when you sign up for that, you are signing away all of your Google data into the AI soup. So, and if you know what Google
I think I just
keeps,
assume all my Google data is already like given away. I think I start from the viewpoint of all my privacy is I have 0. So then anything that's like more than that feels like a win in this day and age. I'm like, the government probably has access to all my like phone stuff and like everything. I'm like, I'm probably screwed already. So I'm like, all right, I've just accepted it. I've embraced the digital era.
well,
Yep.
I would accept that, except I think we're moving into a much more dangerous digital era where more control will be taken by AI, by Google, by Facebook and Meta. And, you know, we're moving into Web3 where they can, if you're not aware of what you're submitting, they can have more control than you probably would like over your data, your access to the internet, your access to cash and everything else. But we won't go into that. But that's really the ultimate danger. It's being aware, basically, of what you're giving up, how you're using it, how it can be good in terms of for writers. You know, if you've got writer's block and you want some inspiration, you could probably get a few inspirational things from ChatGPT. You might not use them, but it might prompt you to start writing again. And it's not about using it to write your whole novel, although some people will, but it's about, you know, using it as a tool and as a device that's going to help you with the knowledge of where your data is going, where the copyright can be going, and how it can be used. So that's my
I mean, that's really interesting, Heather. I mean, and I think there's like, I think with anything, there's pros and cons. I'm actually surprised that you brought up the con for the for website, for these bigger companies having more control, because that's a very valid fear, or not a fear, but that's a very valid reality. I know a big fear of AI, both the present, is that AI is going to take my job away from me, right? That's a very real fear. And then also a problem we're going to be dealing with a lot in the next 5 years is as AI technology increases, deepfakes and AI taking the likelihood of any of us. I could be doing a stream and then suddenly somewhere across the world, somebody else comes out with Kauffman AI and he does better than I do because he doesn't need to eat, sleep, or do anything. And he just exists. Or of political figures, especially of it causing strife during politics, war, and all these other eras, right? And I know that's going to be a very real struggle that the internet's going to deal with. I think that's definitely something we're going to be aware of, and it'll be interesting to see how the major companies respond to that. With disinformation. I really try to focus myself when I look at AI into the beneficial, the positive side of it, because that's what's in front of me right now. And I think there are so much benefits to AI. Anything can be misused, but if we can use it as a back end to our processes for, like you mentioned earlier, for like scheduling, for strategy, for a lot of different technical aspects that improves our overall lifestyle. Like people want things to be easier and faster. AI does that. AI makes things easier and faster. So I think that's how I. No, go on.
Just adding to Chris's point earlier as well, it's that one of the dangers is it takes away our curiosity, it takes away our creativity, because we learn to rely on it because we want it to be quicker and faster, and that's really one of the biggest dangers. I would challenge that, because I think AI also gives new creators the opportunity to create things that were never possible. Imagine a new writer who's broke, who doesn't have money and writes a story. But now with AI, they have a text-to-speech option. They can now create a whole animation style of their new story that now showcases. They didn't have money to hire artists before. I think what AI does is it creates a new niche. But at the same time, it dampens creativity as well for people who take advantage of it, right? You know, there's going to be people out there, and I know Atomic mentioned this, right? They're already AI fake influencers. People are going to take advantage of AI. Like, that's just, people do that with anything. Welcome to the internet. But I think it's how we have to leverage the positives of it. So it's this weird like balancing thing, and it'll just be interesting to see how AI evolves with the internet in the years to come.
Well, I think it goes back to also what Heather was saying earlier, is just AI is a tool, and whether or not you decide to use it for good or evil, that's how it's going to be. Like, that's how it is. And that's the same thing about food. Like, you can eat food, but if you overeat, you're probably going to get sick. And if you undereat, you're probably going to, like, it's the same thing. Food is just a tool. Then tarot is a tool. You can use it to divinate and call on demons if you want to. I have no idea how to do that. Or you can use it to write stories.
Wait, you don't have demons at your command, Chris?
No, I do not have demons. I can barely afford me. I can't afford to be a servant to somebody else right now. But no, so it's just like, it depends on what you decide to do with that tool. And that's, so AI, it just kind of depends on what the human race decides to do with it.
I think the only thing I'd add with the caveat of AI is that remembering it's controlled by somebody else all of the time. So yes, you can use it for good or bad, but they have access to all of your data, all of the world's data, and they can choose what to do with it ultimately.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
There's absolute truth to that. I completely agree. Like, what do we do if Google has the monopoly, right? But then they have their Gemini AI that knows everything, has all our data, has all the things. Is Google going to use it in our best interests? No, Google is a business. Google will use it in a business's best interest to make their shareholders more money. I mean, that's just the reality, but there's a lot of truth to that. I know, but Google's my best friend, as we said earlier. Google's my best friend.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
By the way, welcome back to the stage, Ian. Welcome back, my friend. I know your internet keeps coming and going.
Yeah, well, I'm using my phone and it's running hot too, so.
We're having a heated, great conversation about AI.
Yeah,
everybody loves AI. How do the rest of you guys? How do you guys feel about AI? Clearly, like, I know I'm very pro AI because I've had to do a lot of research on it, and I know we tend to have a very mixed approach. Is it going to be good in the future? I hope so, but I'm not a fortune teller. Maybe Chris, maybe you might be able to predict the future a little more than I can.
There's too many energies to do that. So many energies to deal with that.
Now, I'm using a new mic. Do I sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You do. We can hear you.
Okay, because mine died on me, and so I got a different one. So yeah. Okay, thank you. So I don't think it's like, I'm like in the middle. Like, I think it could be used for good and it could be used for evil. It depends on how you use it,
Okay.
I think, because, you know, it, like for the reason that we use the AI to like generate the writing prompt. I've used it like when I've had questions, or I did use it when I was stuck, like getting back into writing, to be like, what should I write next? And I used it at first, and then I was able to like change all of that and then move on, and it got me out of the little rut I was in, you know, versus like I'm writing the whole thing with AI. And I know there's like the whole business side of it, that like that's what some people's jobs are, is just using AI for this business. So I think there's a lot of good to it. It's just like a powerful tool that people need to know how to use it in the right way.
I will agree with that. Part of the thing that goes along with me and my AI thoughts are that go along with the human experience. I mean, sure, you can just pop in an idea and say, AI, write this whole book for me, but experiencing that as a human brings so much more joy eventually. I mean,
It brings more emotion.
Emotion. There you go. But it just like, I mean, but there will probably be people again who do decide to use it. But I would agree with Holly. I'm very much so like, I like AI could totally take tarot away from me. But there's also something I made a video earlier of like getting a tarot reading from an AI is cool and all, but getting it from an actual person is magical.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing with AI in general. Like,
I don't think that'll change, Chris. I think AI just becomes a niche. I think in the future, once it improves, I think that the interest and the need for AI is its niche, but people are always going to want to follow people. There will be the faceless channels and the faceless creators and that'll be cool, but that'll be its own thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think the human need will change. I think if anything, it just incentivizes us, maybe as writers and creatives, that like we need to put ourselves out there as writers because people want to connect with us.
True. Agreed.
Well, I think that as far as like illustrators, it gives people the potential, you know, if they always want to be an illustrator, but they didn't have the capacity to develop the dedication or the art skill to become that that kind of illustrator. You know, if they love it that much, they can, you know, focus their talent to you know, to create those pictures for other people, which I can't say that just because you use an app that, you know, you're someone I'm going to hire, but there are the people like, you know, Melissa introduced me to Laura, who, you know, she has some incredible pictures that she's developed for the magazine, right? So I think I tend to prefer the human expression of like, okay, well, what can you write, what can you draw? But I think there's a place for the AI, you know, for the art, but it's harder for me to embrace it for writing though, because I'm just like, yeah, at least for me, my use of it has been, it's like, okay, I try and tell it to write this and do that, and I know it needs to develop yet, but it's like, no, it's info dumping on me. It's like, that's not the way the story's supposed to go, you know, or, you know, it's not dealing with the character's dialogue, it's just telling me the story, and I'm like, well, this thing's stupid. It's like, I can write better than that. But it's really good for like, you know, generating the idea. But like, you know, as far as maybe academic writing, I think it's more prone to write really well in an academic style versus, you know, doing creative writing.
Yeah, I know there's a huge problem with academia right now and AI, because so many students, right, not with that with different levels of maturity, let's say that, instead of having to write an essay, we'll now have AI write them an essay and then continue on about their life. I know the education market has a huge uphill battle with AI. So that's why they're just coming out with all these tools to catch AI. And I think there's a lot of tools out there. But like with what the companies are dealing with AI, like fakes, it's another problem, right? Always there's problems that arise, and it's like, how do we deal with it?
Yeah, one of the things that I am afraid of, like, let's say in the next well, less than 10 years. It takes 10 years to, like, well, I know COVID just changed everything real quick, but typically it takes 10 years to create a change. You set a goal of like, okay, and that's for culture. But so when you think of trends and like, let's say just computers are a good example, Windows 95, and then you look 10 years later, where are we at with them and how that's transformed our lives. But with AI, I'm afraid that if we don't hold true to like honing our skills, like I think that we're in a time where we need to reinvest in ourselves to own our skills, to make an income. And I think that if like future generations are like, oh, well, I can just pop this into AI and it does the work for me. And then if you took AI away, like let's say there was a catastrophe and you took AI away, well, where would be your skill at? What would you do? And because we're allowing technology to do the work for us, so we need to be rooted in what and how to do a skill and not just let technology do it for us.
Agreed.
I agree too.
Agreed.
Yeah, I gotta say,
I'm curious, by the way, for those, just real quick, Sol, before you go, for those of you who are here in the stream and watching on the replay, drop your comments. I'd love to hear, like, we would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on AI? Do you like AI? Do you hate AI? I've heard from a few of you. Drop your comments. I'll throw them on the screen. I want to know if we have a lot of like, hey, like, because it's so contested right now, right? Because AI is still early. We would love to hear from you. But Sol, as you were saying.
But so honestly, I've dabbled in AI in way too many areas by this point. I go to Full Sail University, and our teachers are on our butts about using it. And if they think we're using it, we will actually be treated like we are plagiarizing. They are that strict about it. I mean, I'm not complaining. I don't use it for any of my schoolwork, but I use it for research. I used it for research and writing pirates, not for the piracy thing, but I don't have the brain to learn genetics. And so I had to learn about how DNA mutates and evolves and everything to actually write my book. I've actually been using it to help me lately learn how to show versus tell better, because I am terrible at that. I know a lot of writers are, but I've actually been using it for the past month now to actually help me. Hey, I have this section that I need to rewrite because it sounds very tell. Can you show me how I could show this, and then I'll rewrite it so that it matches my own style better, but I won't actually use what it says, but I use it kind of like as a guideline. I've also used it to help me learn how to code a little bit. I have been learning how to actually draw better by using AI generated images and kind of not tracing, but like I'll have it on my computer and then I'll be drawing like right here. And it's actually helping me kind of gain a little more confidence in my own abilities. So I mean, I'm kind of dabbling in every part of it, and going into the gaming industry because I'm a game writer. I've got my own company now and everything. Gaming AI is starting to touch that, and it is really iffy. It is really terrible, but it's also evolving fast enough that it's not going to be like a problem, but I'm starting to see how deep it's going into everything, and how that. Yeah, no, it's definitely a tool, but people are definitely going to be abusing this in the future. Some people already are, and it just goes into that whole be careful how you use it, or it's going to ruin everything.
I think Sol just told us that AI is better than Wikipedia.
Pretty much.
I think that's literally what you just said. Because Wikipedia is hard to. I use Wikipedia for prompts all the time as well, but you just told us that AI is better than Wikipedia. That's what you.
It searches things faster. And personally, like... I've used when I use in my research. If I even think something is wrong, or more often in my case, it's really interesting, so I want to delve deeper. Like when I started looking at genetics for DNA and how that mutated, there are creatures in my books that were actually derived from evolution, 1,000 years of evolution. And so I asked ChatGPT, hey, what happens when an animal hypermutates, or like mutates at an extremely fast speed? What could cause that? And then it gave me all kinds of things, from nuclear energy to like advanced Darwinism, or what, I can't remember exactly how it worked. I don't have the thing in front of me right now.
You
But it
use
actually
AI as a
prompted
prompt.
it prompted me to look deeper into it and start thinking, okay, so it wasn't wrong about this, but it left out so much that it got me thinking, okay, yeah, maybe from now on I can do like the basic research and then take that and know exactly what I'm going to be looking for on Google, and it's really helped.
Again, you've used it as a prompt, which is good. We like that. We like prompt. We like AI prompt.
Yeah, because I think I saw I've been seeing commercials with AI, and it's like, hey, summarize this article for me. And so I was like, oh, like that's really cool. I never thought about that. So I feel like I could be using it more to like help me in that like prompt guideline Wikipedia type way. Because I was like, wow, that's actually genius.
It really especially helps for
Guys.
like obscure topics. So like, for instance, I'm working on a game right now for my company. I have to research human evolution and how culture was like about 40,000 years ago. And so there is so much out there that is buried in all kinds of topics about, well, humans in general, but it is so difficult to find that specific time that ChatGPT has actually led me to some really great articles that it would have taken me like a month to find. And that's what's searching every day.
Yeah. Good or
Awesome.
evil.
Well, guys, your this AI conversation has been absolutely amazing. I like that the moment I hop out of the stream, I get Kauffman left, no rules.
We'll have to watch the replay. See what
This happened earlier too. I was like, oh well, okay, goodbye, Kauffman. Oh, we lost Ian. He'll probably be back. But I just want to say, like, I can tell the chat is absolutely loving this. I know a lot of them have weighed in. I know Tomic was saying Claude AI is pretty good. Marcella said, I've dabbled with ChatGPT writing scenes and I've never been satisfied with the results. It always feels hollow and lacks nuance, but it's great at generating lists of ideas and I can delve in further. Absolutely agreed. RA was saying, I think AI can be a good tool to help writers learn how to improve. Similar to what you were saying, Sol, with showing, not telling. Mm-hmm. However, I also understand that it's prone to abuse by people who want to use it as a shortcut. Absolutely agreed. Oh. Atomic was saying, I find that AI is good for bouncing off ideas and story development as long as you're giving specific input and not just asking it to be creative of its own accord. And that is absolutely the truth. The more specific you are with AI, the more specific you are with the prompts, the more likely you are to get the type of data and feedback that you need. Mary was saying an AI-generated image can be good. It can, but they look awful for a cover. It lacks the nuance of the entire writing process. Absolutely, right? If you just get a story out of AI, it's going to sound like a 2-year-old wrote it. But what I tend to do with the AI images is I generate the images, but then I use the images as part of the process. It's kind of like I'm pulling like a tool as a layer, and then I build on top of that to create the final end product. But if I just did that as the end product, like it might be possible for some people, it might not. But though the longer we're around AI, the more we can see the distinctions and what is clearly AI and what isn't by looking at the details that we come to know AI for being.
Can I just add something to that? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Because you're saying is that the longer we're around it, the more we can see the nuance. But the longer we're around it, the faster AI learns. So the nuances will change.
And I mean, I think that's two sides of the coin, right? AI gets better. We have to get better with AI. And I think it's both of those. But I mean, AI will always fool a lot of people. A lot of people will also learn to see like, oh, okay, these are things that AI always does. And I think at the end of the day, regardless of where you're coming from, for those of you who are here in the live stream or on the replay, just do your research, right? Stay aware of what's going on with AI. And that goes to your point earlier, Heather.
Yeah, I think there's something to be aware of is that there are specific AIs being trained. So for instance, I'm in the copywriting space. So Ray Edwards, who writes for Tony Robbins and a whole load of other people, one of the biggest copywriters in the world, he's been around for 40 years. He has fed all of his copywriting from the past, from all of these great projects into AI. So his tool, when it produces copy, is 10 times better than the average AI because it's using his database. So how the AI has been trained, how fast it's learned, and how it's developed makes a big difference to how your results show and how you can tell whether it's AI or not. Just be
Completely
aware
agreed.
of that.
Jared, are you going to
yeah.
be using? I know that you just said that like we're just deciding AI is not good for covers, but are you going to design your own cover with AI as a layer?
I am.
Okay, cool.
I am. So you guys can know, like, for those of you who've been with me for a while, I've made the realization and the determination that my book, Last Scarecrow, is going to be an entirely live stream experience, from the rough draft, the second draft, the design, all of it, because I want to show the community how you can create a story yourself on a low budget using all the tools that are available to us. Not every writer has a high budget to pay for a designer like they should, to pay for an editor like they should, to pay for a marketing team like they should. So we have to be savvy with the tools that we have. So there's a reason, that's the reason I'm going to self-publish and just show everyone my process, and hopefully people buy the book. And if they don't, I'm enjoying the journey. But thanks for asking that, Chris.
You're now not a self-publisher though. Now you're your own publishing company because you're doing all of it.
True.
I like that.
He's got a
I like
point.
that.
Oh,
I like
I
that.
learned
That's
that.
actually really
I
cool.
learned that the other day. You're not just a self-publisher. You are the editor. You are the marketer. You are a publishing company.
Ooh, that is super exciting. Well, Chris, thank you for sharing that. What I want to do is I want to move right along, but before we do, like, Heather, thank you for starting this with this topic and this, like, clearly AI was, everyone loves talking about AI. Whether or not it's good or bad is the future will determine. But I just want to say, like, thank you for setting that topic because it's a great one to chat about. And I wanted to real quickly shout out your website, the Creative Writing Tips website, because I know that's something that you're promoting, Heather.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Can you just share, like, a little bit, like, what is the website about?
I've just actually launched it for this challenge. I actually bought it. It's creativewritingtips.club. And I just bought it for the writing challenge that I've launched. I'm considering a membership later on, but it's early days. So, yeah.
Awesome. And
is there anything else that you wanted to say?
So
Heather?
for those of you who want to know more.
Sorry.
What was that?
I was going to say, I'm going to drop off in a moment because I'm in the UK and it's 11 p.m. So
totally understandable. I know it's late for you. I was just going to say, for those of you who want to know more about the website, it's linked down in the YouTube description below. What we're going to do next is we're going to hop into a publishing conversation. Holly. So I want to let any of you guys go who want to take off, and we're going to be welcoming a couple more writers to the stream. Heather, thank you for joining us. Thank you. All right. So, like, I want to hop into publishing, but real fast, let's bring in some of our writers. Ian keeps coming back and forth, so we'll see if Ian stays here. And then one of our other writers from the community, which is going to be joining us. Her name is Penelope. I want to welcome Penelope to the stage. Welcome, Penelope.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
hi.
We just got out of our riveting conversation out of AI. And all the fun that comes with AI.
That. Yeah, it was a good conversation.
So with where we're at right now, I'm thinking, because we're only about 30 minutes behind technically. So what we're gonna do is, I'm saying let's chat about publishing for a little bit, because I think Holly should share a story, because Holly's book is about to come out. That's actually a really cool accomplishment through a traditional publisher. And then after that, we'll hop into our community writing challenge exercise, which I would absolutely love if all of you want to be involved. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I have a fun challenge for us. And then I will end off the stream with my announcement for for Kauffman's Corner. I'll end it off with that. So that's what we will do. Let me just do a quick shout out for those of you who are enjoying the stream. Follow and subscribe. I appreciate you. This is my goal is always to bring writers together. Clearly, I'm crazy and I do writing sprints every single day. I know I'm crazy like that. So come join the community, because more writing events like this are in our future. And if you want to know more about anybody who's chatted so far or anything we're talking about, it's all in the YouTube description down below. So follow and subscribe. And
I might be
with that,
borrowing some of your crazy, just FYI.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I mean, like, I was gonna save this for the announcement, but one of the things I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start doing more open invites to select writing streams, because I enjoy it, but I want it to be more of a collaborative experience on certain streams. So, absolutely, Chris, if you want to come join me on some writing sprints, you're more than welcome to.
That, or even start my own. I might be just as crazy as you.
Dude, yeah, you should. You should. You should absolutely start your own thing. Like grow your writing brand. Yeah.
I'll do it at 9 a.m. You can do it at whenever you're 4 p.m., whatever, and we'll just get all the whole day.
Some writing communities, there's one I joined on Facebook where there's 10 different writing author tubes in there, or author writing tubes, whatever. And they have their sprints scheduled throughout the day. So you look at their schedule and there's 4 to 5 different writers each day, and you can choose which sprint. I was like, wow, it's interesting.
Cool.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Nice.
But
starting to be born here.
With that being said, I want to pass it over to Holly. So for Holly, for those of you who don't really know too much about your background, why don't you just share a little bit about yourself, and then let's talk about publishing, because that is the one thing that we all as writers want. We all want to get our books published.
Yes. And hopefully I can have many more for the years to come. But hi, everyone. I'm Holly Davis. You can find me as Write Holly Davis. I'm mostly on YouTube and Instagram. But yeah, as Kauffman said, I have my debut novel coming out November 2024. It's called A Diamond Bright and Broken. And it's the first in a duology. It's a tangled retelling with a female Flynn writer. There's disability rep, sapphic romance. So if that sounds up your alley, you should check it out. But yeah, so I started the novel that I wrote in high school. I was starting it in high school, and then physical therapy school and work, I put that novel to the wayside, and then I found NaNoWriMo in 2015. So it's been almost 10 years since I wrote with the goal of publication until my book is finally out. So, and I've queried other manuscripts before this. So yeah, if anyone has questions, and I'm obviously not an expert at this at all, and everyone's journeys and processes are different. Because for me, I have a small trad pub, so I don't have a literary agent. So I was querying literary agents, but then I also was querying small presses, which you get your book published directly with that traditional publisher, and you cut out that middleman. And so that's the route that I was successful in. But maybe I'll get a literary agent in the future. Maybe I'll stick with this small press. So kind of the world is everyone's oyster when it comes to options. It's not just literary agent or bust. Because I know that that is what everyone wants to get. But I just watched a video from an editor on my way home, and she was like, what does dying on submission mean? And there are so many novels we don't know how many novels die on submission, because no one wants to broadcast that, because it's not good for the agents to be oh yeah, 50% of the novels I represent die on submission, which means that they don't get picked up by an editor and a publishing house. So that's why it's okay, you can get a literary agent, but that's only half the battle. You still have to get your books sold to a publisher.
Holly, I'm not too familiar on the publishing process yet. I'm still in the research and understanding. As I said earlier, I'm going to go the self-publishing route, but I know there's a lot of I think there's value in both traditional and self-publishing, 2 different avenues. For those writers who want to pursue more of the traditional publishing route, what's the strategy? Because I know you mentioned a couple things like literary agents and publishing houses, but I don't really know what that process looks like.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think for people who want to go the trad pub route, you definitely like shouldn't be a type A person, at least a type A person when it comes to your book, like wanting all the control, because then it's like you should do the self pub route where you have your hands in everything. And like Chris said, you're your own publishing company because you do have to make one and then like LLC and all of that. But typically, to get your book published with a traditional publisher, like I said, the main way is to get a literary agent, and how you do that is you have to query them. So it's called querying, and so typically ideally you would want your manuscript to be as polished as possible before you query the literary agent, because many of them will only ask for the first 5 to 10 pages of your manuscript and a query letter, which is like a couple paragraphs, like so less than a page of what your book is about. So kind of like what would be on like the back cover blurb of a book, and a little bit about you, and then like a little bit about the book, like the genre, the word count, things like that, why you're querying that literary agent. So and literary agents get like so many emails, they get so many queries.
I could only imagine. They probably get like hundreds. Like,
yes,
I have
been
familiarity
so much
with the
worse
screenwriting
since
industry.
COVID.
I could only imagine.
They need an AI to read it for them.
Yeah, well, they do have their like they have
That
their
used
literary...
to be called an intern.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. The interns, the like literary assistants, they're the ones who kind of screen the like queries before it actually gets to the agent.
A reason to be nice to every single assistant and every single person you meet in the industry. Be nice to everyone. Be kind.
Exactly. So you have like a very small window to impress like the agent and grab their attention. The like good agents will ask for like a chapter, but if they don't even like the first couple paragraphs, they'll stop because they can't read the whole thing. They have too many to read, and they have to like work on the clients they do have, the authors that they are trying to get published, and working through their marketing and XYZ. So that's like my number one piece of advice, is make sure that it's polished. So what I like to do is send out, like once I have gotten beta reader feedback and critique feedback and gone through my developmental and line edits, and got it to the best where I think it can be, I still give like my query letter, the first, I think I usually do the first like 3 chapters, because some agents do want like the first 3 chapters. Very rare, but I do up to that amount and get that edited. Along with a lot of agents also want like a 1 to 2 page synopsis of your novel, where you actually
I'm
give
not
away
surprised,
the
because they want to know what the
ending.
novel is, and they probably want to know if your writing's actually good or not.
Yeah, they want to see like.
Do you usually suggest sending like the first like chapter, or
it's up
or
to
a
them? Like
specific excerpt?
Yeah, they have what they call like submission guidelines. So I usually make like a spreadsheet and say like, because there's some agencies that say you can only query one literary agent at this agency. If they say no, it's considered a no from the whole agency, because we all know each other and we pass manuscripts around. So don't query anyone else. But there's other agencies that say, if you query this literary agent at our agency and they give you a rejection, feel free to query someone else at our agency. They might be interested. So it's called like following the submission guidelines is super important. And so some agents, they say only the first chapter, they say the first 10 pages, they want the synopsis or they don't. They also go through, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the name. Query Manager is a website that a lot of agents request that you upload the submissions to. So instead of emailing the agent, you will upload everything that they're asking for on this Query Manager website. And so sometimes they're like, do you have a playlist or like a Pinterest board, or like what sort of people do you think would read this book? Or how did you come up with this idea? So sometimes there's like random questions thrown in there that I'm like, so I save the random.
no.
I would save the random ones in case someone asked that again, so that I wouldn't have to like
Mhm.
pull it from out of my butt,
Oof, that must have been kind of hard the first time that happened.
Yeah, because I was like, I guess this book, teenagers and like people in their 20s and 30s who also read YA, because that's me. So, and people who like Disney, I don't know, like it was like, and then also
I'm reading it for me. Yeah, that's funny. And I think that just goes to show the importance of know and do some research into your readership. Who is the type of person that you think should read your book? And I think that's helpful regardless of what publishing route you go through.
Yeah.
Because even if you do self-publishing, you're going to have to do more marketing yourself to target that type of reader. That's powerful. I'm actually kind of curious for everyone here in the stream. Are you guys all, with whatever your first books or your books that you're working on, are you guys going towards self-publishing, or have any of you considered traditional? Because I considered both. I only went self-publishing because of the live format strategy I'm doing, but I did heavily consider traditional for a while.
Yeah. And like hybrid publishing is becoming a big thing too, where some people are self-publishing and then deciding to trad pub. There's a friend of mine she's the one who I would send my things for her to edit, because she was also an editor. But she had a 2-book deal, trad pub, and hasn't been successful since, even though she got a new literary agent and tried other novels on submission. So she's actually self-publishing. So it's like, it's cool that we have that flexibility. You're not like pigeonholed into one thing, because you could go one way and be like, you know what, I don't really want this, and that's okay. So the other thing I was thinking about with like your readers is another one that they'll ask a lot, or what are other comp titles? So what are other books that are similar to your book?
I could totally see that, actually.
That's a good way of having the agent quickly know, why. So I think I put this is like A Touch of Gold, which is a YA fantasy book that is like a King Midas retelling. So that's kind of like, my character who cries diamonds and her parents abuse that power. So it's kind of similar in that sense. And then I said the Tangled retelling with a female Flynn writer, or you could say the Romance and Dragons of Fourth Wing, or whatever. It's so saying specifically why you're comping it. Because if you say, oh, my book is like Fourth Wing, but it's not spicy, people are going to think that there's spice in your book. So you have to be careful. You have to say why you're comping that book to your book.
I'll just think of like some of the greatest bestsellers. I'm like, what's your book like? It's like Lord of the Rings. It's like Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings.
Agents hate that.
I was like, that won't fly.
No. You could say.
No, but
like,
I think that's a
Lord
really
of the
smart
Rings
strategy, right?
Lord of the Rings with like mermaids, like a twist on it.
Well, I think because at heart you're trying to give the publishing, the agent, the publishing house, you need to give them a clear idea of who they are going to take this book, which is a product, and then sell it to.
Yes,
exactly. My guess seems that that's what the strategy is. But I'm
just
curious,
thinking of
Chris, Sola, Penelope. What was
I
that?
was just going to say, I'm thinking of. Oh, sorry.
Was it me or her
Thinking
first?
of Gandalf as a mermaid. That's all I was.
Gandalf
It
and
came
mermaid.
out
Oh,
nowhere.
Maybe we have your like next story here.
See, that's
What if Gandalf were a mermaid?
That's what I was gonna say too. I was like, I think I kind of want to write Lord of the Rings with mermaids. Like, I think I want to write that.
Lord of the Mermaids.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Lord of the Fins.
That
Or
sounds
One
like a
fin
bad
to
movie.
rule them all.
What? I was just going to say one fin to bind them.
Oh my God, we got a Ganmaid in here. So instead of
Ganmaid.
we got Ganmer.
Look what you did, Holly. Look what you did.
I love it.
I think we got
Little Gandalf.
Sorimer the
Lego
Wise. We got
Oh my goodness, I love it.
The little
I
Gandalf.
that would be actually a really interesting way to tell that story, though. Underneath it, Mordor is actually
Somebody could totally write that. If somebody wants to embark on that journey, we got Lord of the Rings and the Lord of the Mermaids over here. I think we got
That's
some
what we're taking.
the
Yeah,
next
someone can
bestseller on
take
our
it.
hands. All started right here on the epic Write-A-Thon.
Bilbo Marlin.
But I was curious. So did Crystal, Penelope, all of you guys went with or either went or are going with self-publishing for your first books, right?
Mhm.
Or
Yeah,
all
I went with
why did you guys
self-publishing. I ended up going with self-publishing because, well, LGBT main characters are not that big yet, and I was so afraid that a traditional publisher would tell me, no, you can't make your character transgender. That is not something we want to see. And no, I couldn't
interesting.
change
Okay.
it. That it actually that identity isn't just part of the character. It actually goes into some of the there's actually a part of that deals into the second book that deals in actual issues that transgender people deal with. So it's like, if I change this, if you have me change this and you want to publish it, I don't care. I'm not changing it because it's too much a part of the story. And it's like a few things, yeah, no, I don't mind changing. Like if there were like some minor issues, like who his dad was, that couldn't be changed. But like who Brynnar was, yeah, no, I could have tweaked that a little bit. But there were just too many things that couldn't be changed that I knew that a traditional publisher would at the very least be like, can you change this? And I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. I loved creating my own website. I really did. I created my own cover. I have done all of that and I loved it. But sometimes I do wish I had gone the traditional just because of the support. Because I have no money. I'm a poor college student with a kid. So I wasted too much. I mean, okay, I shouldn't say wasted, but I paid too much to get a few beta readers, and I wasted like I think $60 on a cover that sucked. And I did something better with Canva and actually turned out really well. But it's like, yeah, traditional, it's got more support, but yeah, no, self-publishing, you have control over your own thing, and so that was just more feasible for my current series. Now maybe like when I finish Animal Instincts or I do Transfer, yeah, a traditional publisher might be a lot better for those two, but we'll see how those books go.
I'm in your same boat. I'm doing a lot of LGBTQ stories. I'm creating my own Archie Comics-esque universe, and each short story or each version is going to have their own, like they're gonna own LGBT lead character. And so there are also things that I want to address in the teen space that publishing is like, oh no, you can't do that until they're 18. Oh, you can't do that until this. So I'm actually, and because and I also write short stories. I come from the TV world. So I'm writing like little 10,000 word, like smaller than novella stories. And so each month I want to release one story. And then by the end of the year, you'll have a complete 120 word thing. But it's like, A, I don't want to wait. And B, I don't know who's going to take it. And so, but like for any of you, if anybody cares, it's like Duncan a Gay Teenage Witch, and it's like Witch Games, and it's like there's a show that was on Disney Channel called Liv and Maddie. I want to do my own version with two twin boys, Blake and Landon, where one's gay and one's straight. Like it's I want to create my own Archie-esque universe. They're all in the same high school-ish. But they all have their own little, like, they can cross paths and guest stars and all sorts of fun stuff. But that sounds fun. I just don't know that I could do that publishing.
Seems like if you could, it'd just be something that's really difficult, and it'd be really difficult just to find somebody.
Yeah.
Let alone actually, do it.
Yeah. You definitely have to. Yeah, you have to find the right like agent. Kind of like RA said, like a lot of agents like specifically say that they're looking for like LGBT authors or characters, but you have to like look for that because there's other people like they won't mention that in their like kind of wish list, and I'll just look at them and be like, nah. And like you can also look at what stories have they published. Are they publishing books with LGBT characters, things like that. But so what you had said was another good point, is to think about like your no compromises of the things that you are willing to change, and then the things that you aren't. Because in one of the novels I queried that didn't even get like a partial request, that I still is like the book of my heart and is the one book that I would work hard to self-publish because I love it so much. But there was this one character, the relationship, I was like, if they want to change him to be the love interest, no, this is a no compromise for me. I am not doing that. That's not the story that I want to tell. That's not the story. So I think that that's an important thing. And I'm glad that you like knew that for yourself.
I think that's really
sorry. I will say this. It took me 19, 20 years to get there. So by that point, yeah, if I didn't know what I was doing, I don't think I should have written it.
No, I actually heard recently a horror story where someone was like, "Oh, I love this book, but you need to make the lead character straight." And I was like, "Oh, like it wasn't me. It was somebody. It was somebody else's story on Instagram or something."
Oh my God.
But I was like, I can't do that to all of my gay characters.
No.
I mean, so I think that distinction is, I think if you partner with a publishing house or you partner with somebody who's going to sell you, they probably want you as an author to have your own story. So I'm sure there's the need for LGBT writers.
Yeah.
Because stand out. But in terms of LGBT characters, my guess is it's probably more of a niche-ish market. They're probably thinking of how do I make this mainstream. Not everybody may want to read about an LGBT character as much as we might want them to, which sucks. But that's what it is, right? That's just where we're at. Or maybe we're wrong and that's not where we're at. What were you going to say, Chris?
If you want to find LGBTQ books that are traditionally published, there is a podcast called The Alchemist Inkwell that I listen to a lot. They're more of a psychic astrologer people, but they do like monthly end of the month what did we read kind of a thing, and they're all very like high vibe, like this was queer, this was this, and so they actually find a lot of high vibe books that have some LGBTQ books in there that are worth a read, and they're usually traditionally published, but there is some self-publishing in there as well, obviously. But The Alchemist Inkwell would be a really
that's really cool. I think obviously the solution, friends, is that we all just need to start an LGBTQ themed publishing house. Clearly, that's the
let's do it.
Gladly,
let's do it. It started here, the #1 LGBT publishing house coming to the internet near you.
A gay Lord of the Rings with mermaids.
That's going to be our launching title. I feel like we need story? I feel like we need like a Morgan Freeman or somebody to just do the voiceover. Like, if Lord of the Rings were a mermaid.
I suddenly want to change everything to mermaids. What if Lion King was mermaids? What if like Peter Pan was mermaids? What if like just
mermaids? Lion King with
everything.
mermaids.
I just want to like everything, like Star Wars with mermaids, like all of it.
What if the Little Mermaid were mermaids?
No, we need the Little Mermaid to be human.
I feel like somebody could totally write like a completely like comedic spoof story in like a mermaid universe, and people would probably love that. Like that'd be great. Somebody should write it. Somebody should absolutely go for it.
AO3 writers, go for it.
I could probably do that, but I've got a couple projects right now.
Yeah, I'm busy.
So by the way, it looks like that a lot of the chat was agreeing with us in terms of like trying to fight through like being afraid of publishing traditionally because of a niche or specific, or their story being too niche per se. So it sounds like that's a very real concern among this community as well. We did get a really good question, which not too unrelated, but I wanted to throw it up on the screen because I wanted to hear your guys' response. Are we all writers? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all writers. Jarrell, welcome to the stream, by the way. Thanks for asking that. I invited a bunch of different writers from different backgrounds to this stream, and this is an absolutely dynamic conversation. However, I think it's time to get on to our challenge. But before that, Holly, I just want to say thank you for starting off and leading this little chat about publishing, because it's, whether it's traditional or self, hopefully we can all get our books out there at some point. And hopefully
Yes.
the LGBT market for books continues to expand.
When
I
I
hope
have
so.
all 5 of my stories floating everywhere, it'll all just float.
All 5 of the mermaid
All of
sequels, the first.
All of it. All the Archie stuff, all the mermaid stuff, mermaids doing, yeah, all of it.
Holly, so I can give you the chance to a promo. If people want to pre-order your book, which I forgot what date it's coming out, they want to pre-order it,
Yes.
or should they go?
November 5th, a day that shall not be named for other things, but if you want a distraction on that day,
no, that's right.
you can get my book and read it. If you pre-order it, you get these awesome character art cards.
Oh, neat.
Ooh, that's
all
really
right.
cute.
Yeah, and then the hardcover has an exclusive bonus chapter from another beloved character in the story's point of view. But you can submit the pre-order receipt. Yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, Holly, thank you so much for sharing that. I will absolutely pre-order the book. For those of you who want to pre-order and check it out, it's down in the YouTube description down below. So with that riveting conversation, publishing is always great. By the way, welcome back to the stage, Ian. Welcome back. Hopefully your camera's working this time. Maybe. Hey, there he is. We brought him back.
Yay.
Awesome. So with where we're at now, I wanted to put together a cool writing challenge. So I asked, do all you guys first off want to be involved? First off, any of you guys can hop off if you need to get going.
I want to know what the challenge is first.
But shouldn't you just know what it is in your heart? No, okay.
No.
So this is actually a very easy. It's going to be very easy. I've asked myself, how do I do something that's as interactive, that includes all of us here on the stream as much as possible? So what we're going to do, and I'm sure you guys have done this before, we're going to write a story together. Now, in terms of what story we're going to do, that's totally up to us. We can use the pre-existing theme of for those of you who've been here since the beginning, so you've been with me almost the full 6 hours. So for those of you who want to continue on, we could do a section from our space, dwarf, goblin, and wizard story that we've developed as a community. We could do something else. Essentially what we're going to do, originally I thought about doing a Google Doc for us to all hop into. I'm like, I can't rely on everybody's technology. So some of us maybe, exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my word processor on the screen. We'll come back to my build a story. Perfect. Here we go. All right. Essentially, we're going to make it super easy. We have 30 minutes to write a story. We're basically going to go. Each of us is going to add a sentence to the next part of the story. The challenge is, can we write a self-contained story within 30 minutes? Beginning, middle, end, by each of us writing the story together. Literally, all you have to do, we'll go in. I hadn't decided whether to go in order or to popcorn it, but I think probably going in order, so that way you can kind of plan. Yeah, and we'll see if we're able to write a story together. The challenge is up to the 5, 6 of us. So we'll just, somebody gets cut off because I know sometimes the internet connection can be a little challenging. How does this sound? Any questions?
You keep coming in and out, actually.
Yeah.
I'm cutting in and out. Okay.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
That
But
old commercial. Can you
as
hear me
were
now?
Yes. As you were explaining,
The
you
moment I
started
start
cutting.
explaining it, I just freeze.
Yep.
Okay. So if anything got missed out, essentially, we'll write a story together, 30 minutes. We'll see the challenge. Each of us will add one sentence. I'll write it on the screen. You just have to say the sentence out loud, and I'll add it to the story. And I think that will be the easiest. The challenge is, can we write a story together that has a self-contained beginning, middle, and end? I think we can. Or essentially, it's a scene. How does that sound? Questions, thoughts, concerns. Perfect. Excellent.
Willing to give it a try. We'll see what happens.
I've done this as an exercise in many writing groups before. It's pretty. Although usually everyone writes their own sentence, but like I'm a fast typer, I can do this.
You can do it.
Okay. I believe in us. So, does everyone feel great about our dwarf or goblin wizard story? Or does anybody? Do we want to maybe write about the mermaids?
Let's do the mermaids.
Maybe we do mermaids, or maybe we do that.
Mermaids.
What do you
Honestly, I feel like the mermaids are going to be more interesting at this point.
Yeah, I want to do the
feel
mermaids.
I think the mermaids are calling to us. So I will start on. So what we'll do is we'll go in order down the screen. Are all you guys in the same sequence as I am? I have me, Sol, Chris, Holly, Penelope, Ian. Are you guys in the same sequence?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Cut out here.
Yeah.
I'm getting my mermaid deck ready. Just to let you guys all know.
Yes.
Got my mermaid deck.
Cool.
You have a pair of goggles?
Cool. I was like, I saw, but it looks like it's cutting out.
Yeah, a little bit. I hear shuffling.
All right. We'll just give it a second. Overall, I would say the connection's only gone out 1 or 2 times, but it hasn't actually cut off the stream. So overall, it hasn't been horrible today. It's been pretty decent. Okay. So I'm gonna blow this up. All right. So this is going to be the mermaid story of whatever our mermaid decides to do. Okay. So I will start. Once upon a time, there was a lone mermaid who was trapped in. I was like, he was trapped in.
And that.
Yep, I'm gonna do it. He was trapped in space. Yep, that's what we're doing.
All right.
Sol, I pass it off to you. We're like, hey, we're upping the stakes from the beginning. So that's off to you. 1 sentence and go.
The air was cold.
All right, perfect. The air was cold. And by the way, guys, there's no bad sentences. The goal of this is it's a free write to just have fun. So whatever comes, comes. And Chris, on to you.
Fuck. This is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. The air was cold and fuck. Sorry about my language. That was just like I've never thought about this. I'm not a good improver.
It's okay. All right, if you're really stuck, it's all good. So if you're really stuck, you can pass.
No,
so we'll do that. So that way we can keep the flow going.
No,
once again, no bad ideas.
I'm not going to let myself pass. I'm trying to put it all together. Is what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
To warm herself up, she had to flip her fin multiple times.
I love it. She had to flip her fun. No, it's not fun. She had to flip her fin multiple times.
That is not the card that I pulled, but
she wondered how
maybe that's what she's envisioning in her mind, Chris.
She wondered how she could breathe out of water for the first time.
Can you breathe? But how is she breathing in space?
Exactly. Penelope's got a.
Right.
She adjusted her air tank.
She could breathe.
And said, "Damn, this seashell bro was a stupid idea."
She adjusted this air tank and said,
Damn,
Yeah.
this seashell
This
bra was
seashell-
a stupid idea. Bro.
Ooh, our mermaid's a little spicy. She gets an exclamation mark. All right, Ian, it's up to you, my friend.
She didn't. Oh, I see. Breathe. She didn't like the air tank, so she went to Mars to look for water. Beside a
Okay.
underneath a volcano where she could stay warm.
She did
Her
Not like the
original
air-
plan was
tank. So
She went to Mars to search for water, like under a volcano where she could stay warm.
okay,
Well,
our mermaid is, mermaid's a little hotter.
we'll not say
Hotter
a
side with what?
volcano, but she went to look for a spring on Mars. Yeah, a hot spring on Mars.
Gotcha.
Okay, so she didn't like
She
the
didn't
air
like the
tank,
air
so
tank, so she
she
went to
looked for a
Mars
hot
to
spring
search
on
for-
Mars.
Nice.
Went to Mars. We'll say
Perfect.
she.
She didn't like the air tank, so
Yeah.
she looked for a hot spring on Mars.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, who's next? Oh wait, that's me. All right, we're in space right now, and the air was cold. She didn't like so. Okay, so she looked for a hot kind of like the air tank. Okay, all right. While delving for a hot spring on Mars, she was greeted by none other than
you're stealing my prompt. You're stealing my
a
prompt.
surprise. So I passed this on to you. I didn't build up that tension at all.
It
Is it
was a
me?
little green man.
The Martian.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna go with too. It was a little green man. All right, Chris, what's our little green man doing?
Other than he's blue, but this guy, he is the king of swords. And he blows air
He
really
is the
hard.
He is the
breathes
king of
very
swords,
strongly.
and he blows air really hard.
He breathes really strongly.
One more time?
Breathes really strongly. Let's keep this G.
Ooh. He is the king of swords, and he breathes really strongly.
Yeah.
How dare you trespass onto our world? He boomed.
How dare you trespass? This is going to be capitalized. How dare you trespass on our world? He boomed. Ooh, this is a very loud little green man we're dealing with.
King. He's a king.
Although
He
we
has
know
to
our
be loud.
mermaid's might be a little she might be a strong feminine character, so let's see what she does with this.
The ground shook, which didn't bother the mermaid at all because she was floating in the air. It's not really trespassing if you're not touching the ground.
The ground shook. The ground shook, which didn't bother the mermaid at all because she was floating. All right, and it's on to you, my friend.
Yeah. The little green man swung his mighty sword to try and. Well, I shouldn't say try. Let's see, right that much, I guess. The little green man swung his mighty sword to to cut off the the mermaid's tail.
Ooh, man, this is
computer now.
angry. Angry. The little green man swung his sword to cut off the mermaid's tail. Ooh, that's sucks for a mermaid.
That's
I didn't say whether or not
she
he struck her though or not.
You
It's up
did
to
not.
Jared to tell us if she
Let's see
please.
what am I gonna say? She cried out.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. The little green man swung his sword to cut off the mermaid's tail. She cried out. Let's see what the previous quote was. Down as seashell bra was a stupid idea. She cried out. Damn, Greenie. I didn't actually further the action. I just added her comment. It leaves to you, Soul, to continue the action.
She managed to dodge. It's gonna leave it
She
vague.
managed to dodge. Good. All right. I'm glad that she still has her tail. Thank you for saving her tail. I'm sure she appreciates it.
In the middle of her dodge, another floating creature. I was going to say sea turtle, but sea turtle. She's able to grab the sea turtle shell, and he just goes with. They fly away.
In the middle of her dodge, another floating sea turtle.
Just say a floating sea turtle. A floating sea turtle helps her.
Wait, just say that for me one more time. So catch that. In the middle of her dodge, another floating sea turtle.
In the middle of her dodge, a floating sea turtle allows her to grab his shell, and they float away, or they fly away, or whatever. There's a lot of floating creatures in space, apparently, you guys.
Chris, it cut out. Say that for me one more time.
In the middle of
her dodge, another floating sea turtle.
In the middle of her dodge, a floating sea turtle allows her to grab his shell, and they float off. I'm trying to choose a different word than float, but they go away, fly away.
I think it'd be float.
And they float. And they float away.
Float away.
Dang, that's
no,
and they escape. I wonder if the sea turtle sidekick, or if it was just and they escape.
I was just saying they escape instead of then we don't have to use float twice in the same.
In the middle of her dodge, a floating sea turtle allows her to grab his shell, and they escape.
Drift off, John said.
Excellent. So we're on a good roll right now. We are. Let's see. Okay. So we're halfway through. So we're about 15-minute mark. So let's see where we're at. Keep going. Holly, this is to you. How are we going to help our mermaid?
Crush, what are you doing up here too?
Is that the turtle's name?
Yes.
Wait, Crush? What?
Crush from Finding Nemo. That's the only turtle I know.
Guys, I really needed this laugh. This was
Crush.
good.
What are you doing up here too?
I really needed this laugh.
I love that our little green turtle's name is Crush.
I'm sailing. Could you say sailing too, maybe? I'm sailing to Neptune to ask the Dream King to help me with a problem for the sea turtles on Earth.
Aw.
Oh, that's really sweet. Yeah, it's like, help me solve a problem for the turtles on Earth. All right, Ian.
Oh man, let's see. Maybe he could make, or maybe he could help me find my dream too, and find my Prince Charming.
Ooh. Aww.
Aw.
Now we got some gay in here. Okay, we got gay mermaids. Go.
There we go. We're into fairy tale vibe. Maybe you can help me find my dream too, and find my Prince Charming. So, we never named our, did we? Oh,
No.
So mermaid. All right. So
Gandalf.
our mermaid. Our mermaid. So mermaid and Crush the turtle. So mermaid and Crush cruised on. You could help me.
Neptune.
Cruised on their way to the realm of the Dream King, only to learn that the Dream King was dreaming.
A queen.
Dreaming.
Soul, that's you.
So I'm trying to think here. They had no idea how to wake him.
Oh my goodness. John says we're having too much fun. Never enough. All right, so up to you.
They had no idea how to wake him.
Did you hear?
Did you hear?
Nope, I missed it. One more time.
They had no idea how to wake him.
All
With
right,
the
and
dream-
Chris, on to you.
With the Dream King dreaming or sleeping upside down, they wondered how.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay.
They wondered if the Dream King has blood. Like, where does all of his blood go?
Okay, so now we're just gonna get more
upside down. They wondered where all. They wondered where does all his blood go.
Astrid, shush.
All right, Holly, where are we? We got some interesting sentiments here.
Oh my goodness.
Apparently, your dog likes the Dream King too.
Yes. With their fins, they attempt to slap him silly. Sorry.
They attempted to slap with their fins. They attempted to slap him silly. I'm glad that Crush has a fin too. I'm very happy about this.
Well, he does. He has a fin.
I just like little like turtle feet, like.
Penelope.
All right, guys, 9 minutes. We got 9 minutes to wrap the story up. 9 minutes, and onwards and upwards.
All right, I'm gonna wake him up.
Can
When
we
that
do it?
didn't work, Is it a she mermaid? Because she's got the bra on, but I mean,
Yes, it's a she mermaid, I think. Yes.
Gandalfina took out her big fangs and bit the Dream King on the neck to drain some of the blood so he would wake up, which he did.
Wow, that
Does that work?
All right, I definitely missed
Oh.
I need her name. I need her name.
Gandalfina.
Gandalfina.
Oh my god. All right, when that didn't work, Gandalfina.
Gandalfina, there it is. All right, when that didn't work, Gandalfina took her 3-inch long fangs and bit him. To drain the blood.
Vampire mermaid.
Vampire wizard mermaid.
God.
And wake him up, which he did.
Is this like her like what she's calling herself? Like quoted vampire wizard mermaid.
There he is.
When that didn't work,
good.
Gandalfina took her 3-inch long fangs and bit him to drain the blood. Vampire wizard. All right, this is our protagonist.
Oh man.
What does the Dream King say?
Ready for my sentence?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right, let's do it.
He suddenly felt I don't want to say infection, but I guess so. She suddenly felt the infection of his blood throughout her body, which made her sleepy. But she also, she suddenly felt her blood. No, wait. No, that's not right. She suddenly felt
his blood.
Well, I should say suddenly felt the infection of his blood streaming through her body.
I do not want this Dream King's blood anywhere near me.
She suddenly felt the infection of his blood.
All right, so she suddenly felt his blood streaming through her body.
Well, felt
what was that?
The infection. You're missing a word.
Blood streaming through her body and felt the infection.
No. Just I guess.
She suddenly felt his blood streaming
through her body. She suddenly felt the infection of his blood. I think you're missing it. Oh, there. Okay. And she felt okay. So she suddenly felt the infection of his blood streaming through her body. Oh, okay. Oh no, I'm not done though. She suddenly felt the infection of his blood streaming through her body, and she sensed her dream in her heart. But she too then became sleepy.
But she then too became. Ooh, all right.
You got become there.
I have the perfect next step. Crush cried out. Princess, vampire, wizard, mermaid. No. Planted a kiss on her lips to wake her up. So you might be able to guess the direction I was going in with this.
Yeah, well, you're not gonna like my sentence. It did not work, and she fell to the floor.
Oh, we've got 4 more sentences. How are we going to end this?
Aw.
And she fell.
All right, Chris. We got 4 more. Oh, and
I was
she
gonna
fell.
say-
It did not work.
I was going to say... Crap, I want to pay attention now to like the dream guy, because like he needs to wake up. Dream guy, the
No,
dream
he
king.
did wake up though.
Did he? Where? Like
He's
we're
awake, but
getting
then
near
she
the end.
fell asleep.
I missed that part. I know that she bit him suddenly through the body, sensed her dream, but she was too sleepy. The Dream King called upon his fairy godmother to fix this whole situation, as there was a big misunderstanding.
All right, Holly.
Oh gosh. She
All right.
Gandalfina awoke with a I don't know. She awoke
With a big migraine.
Oh my god. I'm like this is so hard. Awoke
What was that, Holly? So we have
and,
Gandalf and Awoke.
and hugged the fairy godmother. Thank you for saving me.
Yep. What was that? Gandalf and Awoke and
Oh.
hugged.
The fairy godmother. Thank you for saving me.
All right, Penelope. And you got 2 more sentences to finish this off. I believe in us.
Then she woke up in her real bed, wearing
Ooh.
her sparkly vampire pajamas and rubbing her eyes. And she said, next. I'll let you finish it. What did she
Crush,
say?
you're my true love.
Oh.
All right.
The end.
That's so funny.
We need to post that somewhere and just be
All
like,
right,
you
guys, are
ripped
you,
this apart."
Could AI do this?
All right, guys, are you ready to you're like, suck on that, AI.
Oh,
All right, guys, are you ready for this story? Are you guys ready for this?
Yes.
Yes.
Read it.
All right, so a little too far. 1 second. All right, we're gonna call this a mermaid story. A mermaid story by the second. Once upon a time, there was a lone mermaid who was trapped in space. The air was cold. To warm herself up, she had to flip within multiple times. She wondered how she could breathe out of water for the first time. She adjusted this air tank and said, "Damn, this seashell bra was a stupid idea." She didn't like the air tank, so she looked for a hot spring on Mars. While delving for a hot spring on Mars, she was greeted by none other than a surprise. It was a little green man. He is the king of swords, and he breathes really strongly. How dare you trespass on our world? He boomed. The ground shook, which didn't bother the mermaid at all because she was floating. The little green man swung his sword to cut off the mermaid's tail. She cried out, Damn, Greenie! I thought Martians were supposed to be cool! She managed to dodge. In the middle of her dodge, a floating sea turtle allows her to grab a shell, and they escape. Crush, what are you doing up here too? I'm sailing to Neptune to ask the Dream King to help me solve a problem for the sea turtles on Earth. Maybe he could help me my dream too and find my Prince Charming. So Mermaid and Crush cruised on their way to the realm of the Dream King, only to learn that the Dream King was dreaming. They had no idea how to wake him. With the Dream King sleeping upside down, they wondered where does all his blood go. With their fins, they attempted to slap him silly. When that didn't work, Gandalfina took her 3-inch long fangs and bit him to drain the blood. Vampire, wizard, mermaid. She suddenly felt the infection of his blood streaming through her body, and she sensed the dream in her heart. Wizard, mermaid, no! As he planted a kiss on her lips to wake her up. It did not work, and she fell to the floor. The Dream King called upon his fairy godmother to fix this whole situation, as it was a big misunderstanding. Gandalfina awoke and hugged the fairy godmother. Thank you for saving me. Then she woke up in her real bed, in her sparkly vampire pajamas, rubbing her eyes, and she said, Crush, you're my true love. The end.
Yay!
We did it.
I was like, I'll give it a We're guys, really great job. Were you guys able to hear most of that? I was like, I'm hoping I didn't cut out too much.
Yeah.
Yay. Guys, really, really great work. I've done these exercises before, and I continue to be impressed at everyone's creativity. Because there's no right or wrong way to do these types of stories. And it just goes to show, at the end of the day, have fun. Because who doesn't want to write a story about a vampire, wizard, mermaid? You guys, rock. This will be our next.
I just have to say thank you.
What was that, Chris?
I said I just have to say thank you because the last couple of days I've been crying off and on, and that just I really needed a laugh. So that was I thank you guys.
Aww. Well, our heart goes with and I was like heart too. Aww. Well, I'm happy to have you here, Chris. I'm happy to have each of you here. That was a lot of fun. I love doing that type of thing. We're at 6 hours. I got 7 more minutes to make it exactly 6 hours. So you guys can join me for this last 6 minutes, or you can bounce. Completely up to you.
You had an announcement.
Exactly. So my big announcement. So the future of Kauffman's Corner. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I've been really challenging. What do I want the writing brand? What do I want it to be? For those of you who don't know, Kauffman's Corner as a brand, I started as a YouTube channel about 12 years ago. I did 20 videos and then got burnt out. I tried it again 5 years later, did about 40 videos and got burnt out. I returned to the Kauffman's Corner brand, which is really the YouTube channel at heart. And have since, clearly, you guys know, I'm clearly a writing brand. So I realized that there are a lot of successful brands out there who go by their name. And I could do that. I could stick with Kauffman's Corner and be successful, but it doesn't align with my ultimate goal. My overall goal is to create a writing lifestyle brand that writers from all around the world can come to every single day for different types of writing content, shows, styles, things, whatever you name it. Ultimately, it isn't my goal to do this by myself. My end goal is to do this with a team and as a collaborative endeavor, but it starts with me because I realize I have to build up the base and the foundation to be successful. So I'm going to be rebranding the name Kauffman's Corner to a very simple 1 word, 2 words, no space. I'm going to be rebranding to the name Right Now. Very straightforward, no space. Capital WRITE, capital NOW. No spaces. I thought that it would be a popular brand already. There's a couple of YouTube channels out there with the Right Now brand, but Nobody's doing content like I, and I feel confident in myself that I can create the most awesome creative writing brand that this world has ever seen. So I'm going to be rebranding as Right Now, which I'm basically treating as like the social media writing brand that creates inspirational writing videos, styles, and different types of things. Most of you guys have been on my podcast previously. Right now, I currently have 4 shows. I have the Kauffman Writes, which is my daily writing sprints. I have the Story and Critique show, which is where I edit and review and do the story critiques every Saturday, which the community loves. Those of you here in the stream, thank you for joining me. It's been a great experience. And then Sunday is obviously the podcast where I have each of you on here. I've had Chris and Holly. I've had you guys on for the podcast. All great episodes. I'm slightly adjusting the name of the podcast. Originally, I wanted to go Creative Right Now. I think it's catchier to rebrand it as Create Right Now. I think that's just catchier. So it's going to be the Create Right Now podcast. And then I also have the Storytime segment, which is one that I'm still playing around with, where I read best-selling novels. As I look towards the next 6 months, clearly I've done 180 plus days of consecutive live streams. My goal is another 180 days. I'm going for a full year. I recognize to align with my goal, though, in the long term, I'm not going to be able to stream every day for the rest of my life. That's just not realistic. I can definitely do it for a year. I can probably do it longer, depending on how I'm feeling. But long term, it's not realistic. So my goal for the next 6 months is I'm going to start opening it up to members of the writing community, other writers who want their voice to be heard and want to try doing a collaborative effort with their writing style to put themselves out in front of an audience. The way I'm framing it is I'm going to be offering as a producer to host a new writing segment, which would be a collaboration. It would be hosted through my channel and whatever channels they want to do. The thing is, it can be hosted everywhere. I have the experience of video production, writing, editing, coaching, all the stuff to help bring the things to life. I will produce it, and I'm putting the offer out there for those of you in the community to, if there is a writing show, if there's a writing idea, and there's something that you want to bring to life that you can do, that we can do once a week or once a month, periodically, let's chat. Bring it to me because I'm starting to look for ideas. I would love for there to be a future where there's like a couple times a month, there's different types of one-time events. Like I did an author website review stream last week. It would be cool if there were things like that all the time because every writer has different specialties. It would be cool to have 1 or 2 other writers that I can collaborate with, whether that's another podcast or whether that's something else altogether. 1 to 2 times a week. I'm going to start opening up my Wednesday writing streams to the community to come join me on stream, specifically like this format, specifically like where we all just come on. I want it to feel like a writer's group, and I invite each of you who are here and any of you who are watching this on the live stream or on the replay to come join me on Wednesdays. Just message me if you want to come hop on the stream and let's write together because I enjoy the writing process. And I think the more of us that collaborate and band together, the more we spread awareness with the chaotic nature of the world, that we can create more great energy, put out more great storytelling, and more things that create this type of experience with other writers who are struggling with writing. So that's my goal. My goals over the next 6 months. Of course, also going to keep refining and developing the pre-existing shows with the Story and Critique show and the podcast. The podcast, I have even bigger guests coming on. I have about 5 to 6 guests line up over the next 2 months of all more and more authors, writing service brands. So if there's anyone that any of you guys know who you think like, hey, Jared, this would make a great person to chat with, send them my way and I'll chat with them. I feel confident in my ability to hold a conversation and hopefully create an experience. And that's That's my goal for the next 6 months. That and finish Last Scarecrow. Those are my 2 goals as that pertains to my writing brand. So that's my big announcement. Thank you for listening.
You want to make TV shows with wizard, vampire, mermaids. That's what you want. Got it.
Yes.
Yes.
My man. Yes.
Yes, please.
And I think I think what it is, and I think how the execution of some of these will change, but I'm starting to put it out there as I want to create more of a collaborative effort and collaborative environment. Yeah, that's my big news. So I will probably start rebranding my social media stuff, probably starting next week. So that's where I'm at. I want to thank each of the 6 of you for joining me today. I had such a fun time, and we actually just crossed the 6-hour mark. Exactly over 6 hours of live streaming. Soul, you've been here with me the entire time, so you deserve as much props to this, to our perseverance. It's been a great experience. For those of you joining in on the live stream and joining in or watching this on the replay, thank you for joining in on the conversation. Thank you for participating and having fun. I want to thank each of our guests, Chris, Holly, Ian. We also had Heather, Natasje, and I think that was everyone. I was like, God, I hope I got everyone. And then I was like, brain fart. And Josh. And then, of course, Sol and Penelope. Thanks for joining us. It's been really great. I've had such a fun time today. I'm surprised I still have a voice. And the only reason that this was possible was because each of you guys, each of you who are here with me right now, made this experience possible. My goal will be to do this again in the future as I come back and as I think about what worked, what didn't, and just continue to create these once in a while like experiences, because I believe in creating cool writing stuff and I enjoy the process. And I would like the entire world to know that. And I think each of you guys, as we just saw in this 30-minute challenge, are extremely creative. Everyone here should be proud that we just created a super cool story off the cuff of our pants. Even though it's corny AF and it's a wizard, vampire, mermaid, people would love this story.
Vampire, wizard, mermaid.
Oh, I keep saying wizard, vampire.
Vampire, wizard, mermaid.
Vampire, wizard, mermaid.
You can't forget those things. You cannot forget those things.
For anybody who wants to check out this story, I'm still working through creating a community tool. I'm going to be having it up on my website soon once I finish putting it together. This story will be the first one that I post up there. I might post this on my social media channels in the meantime as kind of like promo to come watch the replay, because this story was super cool. If you guys want it, maybe I'll send it out as the group story when I send out all the thank you emails. But yeah, the story was fun. And then for those of you who joined in on this experience, don't forget, follow and subscribe. More writing stuff to come. 180 days and 180 more days and many more writing streams. So thank you, my friends. Thank you for joining me. And we made it 6 hours of streaming, 6 hours of writing sprints and chats and everything. I hope you learned. Thank you guys for joining us. And that brings us to the end of the first epic 6-hour Write-A-Thon. Thank you, my friends. And don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kauffman. These are all my guests. You guys are all awesome. And we will catch you in the next video.